We can't change that now. I'm disappointed, I'm upset, I'm annoyed, I'm all of the above, whatever. But now let's focus on next week because these are the defining moments. Welcome back to the Arsenal Humans podcast with me, Luce. I hope you're all as good as you can be. Not on a real, I hope you obviously are all good, but if you're a gooner like me, it's been a pretty poor week. I mean, I predicted 2 games, I predicted 2 wins. Complete opposite happened. Pretty much the score predictions were just flipped, so the other team ended up winning. Don't really know how that happened. We're going to get into that in a bit. Obviously, there are so many emotions, so many nerves ahead of tonight's big fixture. Is the Champions League game tonight, as the men hope to secure a spot just like the women did last week, 2 weeks ago in the Champions League final. And I'm staying optimistic. But before we get onto the games this week, and before we reflect on last week, let's look at the warm-up polls because there are really, really big defining moments coming up this week, both for the men's and women's side. And because I'm a Libra, I'm quite indecisive, I was like, let me just do a warm-up poll for both the men's and the women's. So let's get into them now. Okay, so we've got 2 warm-up polls, as I've just said, pretty indecisive, but also I feel like both the men's and women's team deserve their own spotlight moment because, yeah, these are pretty defining moments. I mean, the first defining moment is taking place tonight for the men's side, and then the next defining moment this week is taking place on Saturday for the women's side. So focusing on the men's side, we obviously face PSG away in the Champions League semi-final second leg, and basically whoever wins goes through to the final. So the question I've put out is, will Arsenal men reach the final of the Champions League? The poll results say 71% of you say yes, Arsenal men will also reach the final of the Champions League, but 29% of you said no. And call me delusional, but I'm going to have to agree that Arsenal will be getting through to that final, both the men's and women's. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to win that final, but it's looking pretty likely and pretty hopeful because we're only 1 goal behind. I think everyone's ruling us out. I'm obviously going to take a look at that game in a little bit more detail later on, in probably about, if you fast forward maybe 15 minutes, I want to say. It depends how long this episode is, 10-15 minutes time. But for now, I'm just going to keep it short and simple that I think there is still hope. As Rice said in his pre-match interview, he has full belief, and I feel like we all should too. So it's not over until it's over. This also kind of nicely links onto the last game of the WSL for Arsenal, which is happening on Saturday. We are facing United, who currently sit in third, just 1 point behind us. So this is literally such a big game in the season because we've been cruising in that second spot, almost getting a little bit complacent. We've secured Champions League. We've already, because the difference between the second and third spot, if you're not aware, in the WSL is basically the qualifying rounds for the Champions League. So you're in the Champions League, but you've got to play a month extra of football to then get through to the knockout stages, if that makes sense. So being second means you don't have to qualify, you're already straight through to that knockout. Obviously, if we win it, we don't even need to worry about it. We'll be straight through to that knockout anyways. But that's not guaranteed. I mean, Barca are a very good side. I will obviously preview that game in a couple weeks' time. But focusing right now on this weekend, we need to come second. We have to come second. There's no other option. I mean, if we don't, it's so humbling because we've literally been second for so long and United have crept up out of nowhere. Full credit to them. But basically, linking back to the warm-up question, the warm-up poll, I said, will Arsenal come second in the WSL? This one was even higher. You're even more optimistic. All my followers on Instagram, it is loose.case if you want to have a say in the future polls. But you lot are very optimistic with this one. 81% of you said yes, Arsenal will come second in the WSL, and 19% of you said no. And I have full faith. I think I have more faith, actually, if we're going to compare the 2 warm-up polls. I have more faith that Arsenal will come second in the WSL than Arsenal men will get through to the Champions League final. But I'm still confident in both. I mean, I do feel like, obviously I'm going to preview this a little bit more, so I feel like I'm just teasing with these warm-up polls, but I do feel like Slagers is going to have a stronger side than we've seen previously, and the team really need to get themselves together, really switch that mindset, because I don't know what is happening recently for the women's side. Something is happening and I have no idea what is going on. I feel like everyone's a little bit confused. So yeah, I'm staying optimistic. So although this has been a pretty shocking week for Arsenal as a whole, we've got a big week ahead of us, and I feel good. I mean, the first poll is basically going to be pretty much answered in 5 hours time from when I'm filming this, so probably only a couple of hours time from when this is actually uploaded. So pretty crazy that we're about to get this in live time. But sadly, we can't stay too optimistic because we do have to reflect on these two games that have had poor results. So let's look at them now. Okay, so this is the part of the episode that I was sort of dreading because obviously we have two games to reflect on and neither of them went our way at all. But we've got to stay loyal. I mean, us Arsenal fans, you know there's going to be highs, you know there's going to be a lot of lows as well. So you've got to just power through it all. And to be fair, I do feel like there's things in both these games that are easily changeable. Like we can easily switch up and adapt, and we need to reflect on this to be able to move forwards, whether that's in the leagues, the WSL Premier League, or in the Champions League fixtures. So let's hope that they've taken on these points and there. Hopefully, Slagers and Arteta will be able to see both sides across the finish lines and basically make the warm-up polls factual rather than just manifestations and optimism, basically. But focusing on the first game, it was Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2. I predicted it to be Arsenal 2, Bournemouth 1, so I actually predicted the complete opposite. Didn't quite work out that way. We did have quite a few chances, which I think makes this a little bit more frustrating when you look back at the game and you see the result for it. Whereas in the moment, I was like, okay, cool, a few chances, this is good. I mean, it's Bournemouth. Bournemouth, you can't underestimate them. I mean, they had never won away, and now obviously that's changed. But they have been a good side. I mean, they've dropped off slightly, but they have good players. They've been a good side, and I think this game proved it. When you're not on the ball, things will happen. I mean, the likes of Martinelli, Rice, Trossard, they were all getting shots away, but for me, I was like, nah, this just isn't our day. Like, it just didn't seem like it was working out. But then Rice did find the net in the 34th minute. A nice little link up from Odegaard. And it was quite nice for Rice as well. He scored on his 100th game for the club, which for me is mad because I feel like, obviously that's 2-3 seasons ago he joined. And I just find it crazy. I'm like, that's gone so quick and he's done so much that I feel like he's actually been at the club for years and years, but really it's just more of a recent history. But it's so good to see how quickly he's got into this squad, how he complements other players, how crucial he's actually become as well for us. So that was good to see. His celebration, I feel like it was quite confident, a little bit of arrogance in there, but quite humble, confident. The fact that we didn't end up winning, I think it was a bit like, humbling in the wrong way. Then in the 67th minute, Dean Howson scored. It was a header from a corner. Same as their second goal, which obviously secured them the 3 points, by Evan Nilsson in the 75th minute. It was also from a corner. Both different style. Obviously, one was a header and one kicked it in. But they're both from corners. And it's just crazy because, I mean, I feel like I've seen a lot of headlines that are like, Arsenal haunted by set pieces. Corners have got to Arsenal. Like, we obviously conceded 2 corners. Yet, if you look back a few months ago, we were literally the ones scoring from the corners. We were the threat for corners, and now we're being threatened at corners. And it's like, whoa. How times have changed, and it's not the direction we want it to go in. I mean, focusing on Howson, obviously the first scorer for Bournemouth in this game, he's literally 19 years old. He is such a promising talent. I mean, I feel like he's going to get snatched up by a lot of other clubs. I feel like Liverpool, there's been rumours, there's been headlines, but obviously you don't know how reliable they are. But I feel like, there's options for him. I mean, I kind of hope Bournemouth can retain him because he does look like a promising player for them, and obviously he's doing really well for them. But yeah, overall I just find it a bit annoying because I feel like corners and set pieces was our space, and now Bournemouth are suddenly dominating it. But fair play, if we don't show up, then and there were a few chances towards the end of the game, but just nothing was enough. And in terms of where that puts us in the league, we've still not qualified for Champions League. We've still not secured that top 5 spot because if you look at all the other sides, like Forest, Newcastle, Chelsea, even Villa could get up there. There's just so many teams that are fighting for European football. The European race is crazy right now. It's really heating up, and I feel like we're just like cooling down. We're not really thinking, oh yeah, we're sort of past that. Like, no, we're not. Like, we still need to be on it, and we've got 3 games left of the season, so we need to really take them seriously. Obviously, all the focus is on tonight, and I do understand that. And we've had Partey out, Odegaard's not been on top form, so we've had a few changes, or a few differences to say recently. But overall, it's not good enough. I'm I can't really sugarcoat it. I can't be like, oh yeah, like it's fine. Like we need to be winning these games. We need to, like, there's even more pressure on winning the last 3 games now, and we have Liverpool coming up, which I'll get into at the end of this episode. But yeah, kind of crazy, kind of crazy. Moving on to the women's side, Brighton 4, Arsenal 2. I predict it to be a 3-2 win. I thought it was going to be close. Don't get me wrong. I didn't underestimate Brighton whatsoever. I knew they were a good side. I saw them in person live when they played Chelsea, and they were beating Chelsea at 1.21. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that was crazy. Obviously, Chelsea always find a way. They're still unbeaten by 22 games, like 19 wins, I think it is, 3 draws, something like that. So I knew they'd always find a way to at least get a point. But the fact that Brighton held them to that is crazy. That I knew we couldn't go in fully confident, and they pretty much proved why I thought this within a matter of minutes. I mean, it looked like they were just dominating play. They really capitalised on our mistakes. A lot of mistakes from out the back, a lot of mistakes from the keeper as well. And they just made the most of it. It's not really the end we want to the season. It does put a lot more pressure on the United game happening at the weekend, but I'm just happy that we still have the opportunity to come second despite the last 2 fixtures. I mean, the fact that we were even considering competing for the WSL title is kind of crazy to think about, considering how low we've suddenly gone point wise and how far away we've gone from Chelsea. But at least second spot is still up for grabs, you know. Focusing on the game in particular, Fran Kirby scored in the 16th minute. This was beautiful to watch. Like, I know it's against my own club, but she just took it out her feet and just found the top left corner. Top right. It's the keeper's top left. Don't know why I said it that way around. Top right corner, found it. Not much we can do about that one. Like, Zinsberger couldn't have done anything. No keeper would have saved it. So we need to stop using her as a scapegoat, because no one could have done anything. Obviously, we have seen Daphne Van Domselaar, pull off a few saves where she taps it over the bar. But this one was so tight up into the corner. It was so precise that I personally think it was getting past everyone. Same for the next goal, which... we actually scored in between. Caldente crossed it to Ford. Ford basically shot it, rebounded off the keeper. She shot and it went in. But the celebrations, you can tell that they were sort of like, why are we even now celebrating to draw, if that makes sense? Like, Ford was kind of more like, right, okay, this is good, we've scored, but we need to score another one. And then before they had the chance, Cankovic blasted it. I put Cankovic blasted it to give Brighton the lead, and I don't think there's any other phrasing, because that rocket of a ball, it went in for a corner, bit of mess happened in the box where they basically like headed it out, and she just volleyed it, blasted it into the back of the net, and I was like, yep, fair play. And that literally happened just before half-time, so they went into the break leading, which obviously doesn't fill us with too much confidence. Coming out the break, you think, okay, maybe there's been a bit of a chat in the dressing room, something might have happened, something might be a little bit different. No, not really. Cankovic gets another one. This time she capitalises on a mistake that it is Zinsberger's fault. I think the other 2 you can't blame her, but this third goal was. I mean, her pass, it lacked both accuracy and power, so it basically just went to the Brighton midfielder, and then they passed it down, and Cankovic literally just like chipped it over Zinsberger's head, which is humbling in itself, and wasn't great to see. I mean, they did then, a few moments later, capitalise on another mistake, and then, yeah, it's really frustrating that I'm saying this, but Seike capitalised on another mistake to get the last one for Brighton. McCabe even tried to pull her back at one point, like right by the goal, which very risky in itself, but I mean, we looked desperate. We looked like we were on the back foot the whole time, so I understand why McCabe literally tried to grab her shirt, but it wasn't enough. She slotted it home. And gave them the lead. I mean, at this point it was 4-1, and I was like, right, okay, it's not looking great. And Caldente did score a blinder of a goal, but it was an extra time, and that was just not enough. I mean, it made it 4-2, but that was not enough. I mean, overall, as much as this game, I feel like a lot of praise has gone to all the big goal scorers, because, you know, they literally found the net. I do feel like we need to give Brighton's keeper, Sophie Bagley, the credit that she deserves, because she actually turned up. Like, I saw an interview after, and she actually turned up not expecting to play. Then suddenly she played. And if I was their manager, I'd be like, oh, okay, which keeper do we start now? Because honestly, her performance, I feel like Arsenal had a lot of shots they actually probably could have ended up drawing with Brighton, but because of Sophie, like, there was no way they were going in. So she did very well. This does leave us in a bit of a tricky position. I mean, Slager spoke after, so did Leah Williamson, about how maybe their focus has been distracted because they're obviously looking ahead to the Champions League final. They've obviously just come back from arguably the biggest game that has happened for Arsenal women in the last few seasons, because there's so much pressure when they went to Lyon. We were on the back foot, and then somehow we managed to get all those goals and dominate play, which has been, I mean, it's been unheard of for us in the last few seasons, competing like that in Europe. So it's almost, I think people almost call it like a hangover, like a game hangover, which actually makes kind of complete sense for one game. Like, for one game. But I mean, this drop off in form has happened for 2 games now, so so that was rude. If you actually watched on YouTube or listened on Spotify to this episode last week, so episode 26, because this is episode 27, crazy, you'll see that my camera just cut out again, which is really nice. But to be fair, I'm going to take it as a sign that I need to stop waffling about these games, stop focusing on the past. We can't change that now. I'm disappointed, I'm upset, I'm annoyed, I'm all of the above, whatever. But now let's focus on next week, because these are the defining moments that will basically put us in the position of how we're starting the next season and what we're going to take from this season. So let's focus on 3 games coming up this week. We have tonight the big game. It is PSG versus Arsenal, second leg of the semi-finals in the Champions League. I'm going to predict a 3-1 win. Just straight off the bat, I'm just going to say my prediction. I mean, we are currently 1-0 down, so we need to at least lead by 2 goals. I don't know if it's going to be done in the full 90 minutes. I feel like there could be extra time. I don't think it's going to be as exciting as that Inter-Barca game last night. That obviously went to extra time, and that was crazy. But so was their first leg. I mean, people are labelling it as the greatest Champions League tie of all time, and looking at the highlights and everything, you've got to agree. If you haven't looked at the highlights, definitely check them out right now. But obviously, because of that game last night, whoever wins the game tonight will go to the final at the end of May to face Inter Milan. And I mean, you don't want to face either side. I feel like we might be able to set up maybe slightly better against Inter Milan, but either way, it's going to be a hard side to come up against. I think having Partey back in the squad is going to be great for not only Rice, because he's going to be able to push up more, which is what we saw him do Real Madrid. He was more progressive with play, was able to get in those positions to either create those free kicks or score from those free kicks, which was obviously unreal from him. But also, I feel like it's going to be good for Odegaard. He's been getting a lot of stick. I don't think he deserves it. I think if we look at the pre-match interview, how well Rice spoke about him, it's just really promising that he is a great leader, and I'm hoping that he can show it. Obviously, he hasn't been as good. Like, if you look at stats, he scored 15 and 11 goals the last couple of seasons, and he's only on 5 this season. It's not as good, and that obviously doesn't even take into consideration his creating opportunities and how he's obviously created a lot of goals, but nowhere near as the standard we're used to. But I still do feel like he has those leadership qualities. He is still crucial. I don't think there's anyone else I'd want to start over Odegaard. So obviously for me, Odegaard's got to start tonight. Yeah, I don't agree if you're saying no. Obviously I could be wrong, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, I'm staying optimistic. I do think that is a prediction very much with my heart. Head is thinking it could be a draw. I do feel like it could be quite a low scoring game, maybe a 1-0, 2-0 if I'm thinking in my head, but I'm just going to go with my heart. 3-1, let's manifest this. Second game of the week is on Saturday. I'm going to this one with my sister. I'm super excited. It's at the Emirates Stadium. It is Arsenal versus Manchester United, and it is deciding who comes second in the WSL. As I've mentioned before, I do feel like United are a tough side. I mean, we saw them just then in the Manchester derby against City. City were winning 2-0. Man United obviously on the back foot, and they ended up coming back and drawing the game 2-2, even with 10 players on the pitch, which is crazy in itself. And that's basically taken them just 1 point behind us. It's meant that City definitely aren't getting the Champions League spot. United have secured it, so have Arsenal, but it's just where we finish. And it is actually really important to finish second, because we have the Women's Euros final, and then 3 days later the Champions League qualification stages start. And I'm hoping we can see a lot of our players in that final, hopefully for England. Obviously, I'll be back in the Lionesses this European campaign, but it's too close. Like, it would be way too close. And I feel like that's almost was our downfall a few seasons ago, when we have those summer tournaments and then we ended up getting out to like Paris in like the qualifying stages. So I'm hoping obviously we can win the Champions League and we don't have to worry about that, but just to be on the safe side, and also just to finish our season on a high, because it would be disappointing if we don't come second. Because at one point, like I've said before, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but at one point we obviously were first. But I mean, obviously at one point we were obviously competing for that title race, so it would just be gutting to drop even more. I don't think it's going to be an easy one. I mean, getting past their keeper, Fallon Tullis-Joy, that's going to be hard to get past her. She has proven to be just solid in that net. Like, she has been so good. I mean, for me, between her and Hannah Hampton, keepers of the season, obviously I've got to put DVD up there as well. I feel like there's been a few good keepers, and it makes sense that they're at the top part of the league as well. But yeah, I'm gonna go with a cheeky little 2-0 win. They have Grace Clinton, they have Ella Toone. I mean, I could link their whole team, but I feel like Grace Clinton and Ella Toone, their link-ups not only for England but also for United are really aesthetically pleasing. Like, I like watching them play. I'm just hoping they don't show up on the day, but we can't rule them out. But I'm thinking positive again, and yeah, I'm going to say they're going to do that, so then we win as well. I mean, I just want to finish the season on a high. It's actually mad that it's already the last game of the season. Like, I don't know how the season has gone so quick. I mean, the season has changed so much from the start with Jonas to all the way now. I mean, I'm going to obviously in the next few episodes probably reflect on the WSL as a whole, but it is crazy when you look back. So I just really, really hope, fingers crossed, we finish the season on a high. And then the following day is the Men's Premier League. It is Liverpool versus Arsenal. It's an away fixture for us. Obviously, Liverpool have already won the league. They were miles ahead. I think what Slot has done with the squad, pretty admirable. I don't think anyone can disregard how impactful he's been. Yes, the squad was pretty much solid when he joined, and there's been a few changes more recently. If obviously Trent's announced that he's going to be moving to Real Madrid, so that's happened, but not in this season, so obviously that will affect their next season. I'm going to predict a 2-1 win. I feel like Liverpool have won the league. They're not complacent. They don't have anything else to fight for. They're in no other competitions, but I feel like they're not going to be giving it their all as much as we are, because we need to. Well, I mean, we need to give it our all. Like, if we're not, we should be, because we need to get that second spot. I think both the men and women need to get that second spot, because the whole season we've been second, and if we suddenly drop it in the last hurdle, we suddenly fall, then that's really frustrating. I mean, yeah, it's not obviously going to be an easy game. I think what happens tonight also will dictate what happens at the weekend, so it is kind of hard to look that far ahead to see any injuries. Hopefully not injuries, but anyone who's coming back is what I'm meaning, because I know Timber is still a bit of a question mark whether he'll be fit enough for tonight's game, but then he might be fit enough for Liverpool, so we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, so I'm actually predicting 3 wins in the 3 games. Realistically, I think maybe 2 wins could happen in the leagues, but we'll see. The Champions League, I mean, obviously if you're listening, comment down below who you think's going to win tonight. I mean, this video, when you're watching it, you could be watching it before the game, you could be watching it after the game. Hope you're watching it before to just see, so I can get some of your predictions as well. But yeah, let's hope Arsenal can go all the way. Okay, amazing. We are already at the end of episode 27. It's actually crazy because I think I'll probably just do a few more this season and then see what I'll do throughout the summer. I feel like, because there's obviously going to be the transfer window opening up. I mean, the women's is opening up pretty much like next week. So there's going to be a lot of rumours, a lot of transfers to chat about as well, hopefully. But I'll keep you guys updated with whatever I do with the future of this pod in the summer. But it's been a good first season. I find it crazy that WSL is already coming to an end. But let me know your predictions. Obviously, the warm-up poll I put on my Instagram, but there's no reason why you can't comment down below on Spotify or YouTube, whatever you're watching on. And if you are enjoying this content that I'm putting out, whether you're listening to it or watching it on YouTube, then please follow me on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, give me a thumbs up, give me some feedback, please be nice, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you next week, and hopefully it's a good week for Arsenal. I mean, we need it after this last week.